Hello and welcome back to the Not the Old Firm YouTube channel. My name is Ben Banks, here to look back on the midweek Scottish Premiership fixtures. So hectic this week. Scottish, well, supposedly, with the British Super League, but we've had the European Super League, now the British Super League, as well as that. We have had actual football to talk about as well. Premiership action first before the Scottish Cup fixtures this weekend. This is a review of the full card of Premiership action. Toyed whether to do one of these just with how quickly it's going to come about in terms of with the Scottish Cup, but given how much happened on Wednesday night, then it's very hard to avoid. We'll also have a Scottish Cup preview, and we've not really done a review for the previous Scottish Cup rounds. We'll try and get round to one. Very busy at the moment, but we'll try and get round to one. On Tuesday it will be the final fixture Kilmarnock St Mirren on Monday, but less about that for the moment. Plenty to talk about in terms of the Premiership. Hamilton 0, Motherwell 1, Hibs 2, Livingston 1, St Johnstone 1, Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1, Celtic 1, Kilmarnock 3, Dundee United 0, and Ross County 1, St Mirren 3, brought about Wednesday's action. Plenty of talking points. Hamilton cut more adrift at the bottom of the league. They're now 5 points from safety. Hibs taking a big step towards third place, and they've guaranteed European football for next season in that third and fourth spot. The first team outside of the Old Firm to do that. Livingston sort of look like they're just about out the race for fourth as well, which would secure Stephen Glass's side Aberdeen in European football for next season, despite the season they've had in recent times. So Johnson getting a credible draw, Kyle Lafferty doing Kyle Lafferty things, St Mirren managing to win in Dingwall with a depleted squad. We'll go through it all just now, starting in Lanarkshire and the Lanarkshire derby. Ronan Hughes' red card changed what was a fairly scrappy game was at that one. In the stand, you know how these things are, perhaps doesn't look as bad on first viewing, but Ronan Hughes' red card was pretty silly. On the halfway line, Robbie Crawford's not going anywhere with it, and he goes through the back of him two-footed. Changes the game. Hamilton didn't, in the overall scheme of the game, I suppose, in terms of overall play, they weren't impacted too much for it, but they were a bit all over the place for 10 minutes heading into half-time, and Mull managed to score in that period through Mark O'Hara. Secures their Scottish Premiership safety, but leaves Hamilton with a very uphill task of securing that 10th spot, which they seem to manage to scrape between their sort of 9th and 10th, but it looks like this is going to be the greatest escape if they pull this off. Feeling in the Hamilton fan base, perhaps 11th would be their best bet just now as they fight to survive. They've still got those huge games against Kilmarnock and Ross County, so still far from over yet, but it does look like they are in the worst position out of the bottom three. We heard from Brian Rice and Mull manager Graham Alexander ahead of this one. For this one, should I say, Hamilton's head coach not willing to say Hamilton are down quite yet, whereas Mull manager Graham Alexander happy to break Mull's derby having lost 3 games to Hamilton already.
Assessment of the game is I thought there wasn't a lot in it first half. It was scrappy. First half was scrappy. They got the goal at a good time, and we couldn't bring them down. Keep that to myself. I'm in enough trouble. Speaking out before, I'm in enough trouble. Say nothing about it. Absolutely nothing. Of course we can. Of course we can. Nothing's decided tonight. You know, it just makes it more difficult for us. You know, we've had said that down the stair, in the dressing room. It just makes it more difficult. We just need to go harder, we need to go quicker, we need to go stronger.
But yeah, really pleased with the result. Obviously we came here to win the game. We knew it was going to be tough. You know, my experience of the last game was exceptionally tough, and you know, the record this season against them hasn't been great at all. So yeah, we had to come here and be dogged, be aggressive, and compete, and do all the basics well, which I think we did, and we scored the goal that won the game. So you know, I couldn't have asked any more of the players. You know, that we sort of changed shape a little bit today to compete against them in a way that we felt would win the game, and we've done that. So yeah, the players deserve all the credit, because it's been a tough season, certainly against Hamilton. You know, local rivals, and the rivalry that goes between the two clubs, and we've been second best all season, but we weren't today, and that's really pleasing.
Hibs 2, Livingston 1. Martin Boyle show really at Easter Road, and Livingston never really got into gear until the second half. But we heard from Jack Ross, Hibs manager, and Davy Martindale at the end of this one. Jack Ross obviously pleased with his side's performance, and Davy Martindale knowing that his side could have perhaps improved in the first half, taking responsibility for his part.
I mean, I think we were. I think we're always going to be respectful of the challenge. We just played, brilliantly. I think first half, and in fairness to Livingston, they responded second half, made the game difficult. We didn't play as well, but we found a way to win. I think our first half performance ultimately won us the game. Yeah, I mean, I've said recently about encouraging other players to get on the score sheet, but when you've got a front three that have contributed as many goals as they have, then I don't think you can complain. I don't think there'll be many clubs across the whole country that can point to that, and I think they're all in good form at the moment as well, which is probably the biggest bonus for me. I think they've all contributed over the season in different ways and at different times, but right now I think three of them are in a really good place, and I thought some of the play first half was terrific. Martin was probably unplayable at times first half, but brilliant for us. If they can get close to that 50 goal mark for the season as a trio, then that is outstanding. I think
you guys are just on fire.
It's nice to go into this important part with players that are scoring goals, and I think all clubs crave it at all points, and we're fortunate that we've got three of them, and they could make the difference. I think that we know we've got match winners in our team, and it's reassuring to have that, because even when you're under pressure in games, that you've got that opportunity to go and create and score out of nothing. So going to need them, as you mentioned. There's a big period for us that I was going to say it was the start of it tonight, but it feels as if it's been going on for ages. But when you want to achieve success, I think you've got to recognise you're going to have high pressure games and high stake games, and we've got them at the moment.
Half quarters. Yeah. Start. I thought we started the game no bad, to be honest. First 10 minutes it looked okay. Both teams getting a wee feel for one another. We just give away a cheap goal. It's a cheap goal, but I think Jack will see it's a good goal. I need to watch it back, but Jack will probably see it's a good. And I think it is a good goal from his point of view, but it's too passive. Too passive from our point of view. Second goal, debatable, but I can understand why the penalty's given. Probably got to do better. You've got to realise who it is on the ball, because he's very good, Martin, at knocking the ball into space in the penalty there and initiating contact. If he's adamant it isn't a penalty, but Martin will be adamant it is a penalty. But from my perspective, I can see why the penalty's given, but I think it's a wee bit soft. So the first half's absolutely killed us, but I'm going to take the blame for that. I think the shape killed us a little bit, or the personnel within the shape that I played. I got that wrong. I got the personnel, the starting 11 wrong. I got the shape wrong in the first half. Tried to change that in the first half, but by that point it was a wee bit too late, and the game settled down a wee bit the last 10 minutes, although it was a wee bit edgy, so I wanted to get the boys in at half time. Got the boys in at half time, told them in no uncertain terms what I was looking for and what we weren't doing correctly. Changed the shape, changed the personnel, and I think in the second half the boys came out the second half with massive credit. I think they're a wee bit unlucky to be walking away from here with no points. There's 2 penalty incidents in the second half that the boys are adamant were penalties. There's one a slide on Pittman, a wee bit similar to Boyle's if I'm honest, initiates contact, probably a wee bit soft, but it was a handball. I can't remember who it was, but even the Hibs boys were saying that coming off the park it was a penalty, so it was a handball. And then Alan Forrest had a great chance in the second half that he's probably got to, he's got to work the keeper. He never worked the keeper, but I think he would score if he worked the keeper. And I think Nicky Devlin got in behind him on 3 or 4 occasions. We've probably got to do a wee bit better with the ball, and the offensive players have got to try a wee bit better to get on the end of it.
St Johnstone 1, Rangers 1, perhaps the fixture that, could argue that with a couple of ones, but this one probably the one that wasn't as holding as much meaning. St Johnstone probably highest they can finish is 5th, so they'll be looking for favours from the teams remaining in the Scottish Cup, those being Aberdeen, Rangers and Hibs. They need one of them to perhaps win so they can get a European spot. But should Livingston's ground and their club sort of not fit the bill for sort of entering European competitions at this stage, St Johnstone might get European football on default anyway. So, yeah, perhaps not as much to play for St Johnstone. Their eye is on the Scottish Cup and perhaps winning that themselves. They did get a very good draw with Rangers. Rangers did rotate their squad a bit. Scott Wright scored his first goal for them. It looked like, amidst a couple of penalties, that they were going to scrape a 1-0 win. But Liam Craig's penalty late on, a deserved point, for St Johnstone. It gives them a lot of encouragement heading into the weekend's fixture with Rangers at Ibrox. It'll be a completely different test, a completely different Rangers side, one that'll probably be more motivated. But if St Johnstone can perform like this, they'll give themselves every chance of going to Hampden again. And Aberdeen won, Celtic once, probably the other one you could have argued that in terms of meaning, not so much for Aberdeen. Of course, they're still pushing for third, but it did look like an outside bet. They were 1-0 up in this to the very dying embers until Lee Griffiths scored. If they had managed to keep that 1-0, it would keep the gap at 4 points with 3 games to go, bearing in mind that Hibs have still got to go to Pittodrie. So if they did manage to maintain that 1-0 victory into full time, then it could have been very, very interesting these last few games, especially that Aberdeen Hibs game. But not to be 6 points now behind Hibs in third, and it looks like that'll be a bit of a tall order given that they have still got to face Rangers at some point in this split. Kilmarnock 3, Dundee United 0. Huge result for Kilmarnock. Kyle Lafferty hat-trick steals the show for them. Tommy Wright delighted with his striker, who has lifted Kilmarnock out the relegation places.
A good performance, particularly first half where we were clinical, scored a couple of good goals and then obviously got the penalty. So that made sure that it was quite a comfortable evening for us in the end. And then the bonus for us is, obviously, I was aware that Hamilton had lost and Ross County had lost, so it gives us a wee bit of a cushion, but no way is the job done. We've got a lot of hard work still to do and there's still a lot of points to play for. A great signing, and it's not too often that January signings, well, out with the window, it was a February signing actually, free agent signings, work as well as that, but you can see the quality he's got, and he's someone who's been a big presence on and off the pitch for us.
And Ross County 1, St Mirren 3. We had from John Hughes and Jim Goodwin at the end of this one. Damaging blow from Ross County's Premiership survival bid. John Hughes lamenting the fact his side couldn't keep the back door shut in defence, whereas Jim Goodwin delighted for Colin Quainer. He was only on here a few weeks ago ruling him out for the season. He's back now, and could he win silverware before the end of the season?
I felt the first half was probably even. Maybe St Mirren had a wee bit more of the ball, but and then to get our goal, I felt we were at it. I felt we were on the front foot. Everything that we worked on was coming to fruition. Tilson had a wee shot in the first half at the goal. He got up to the top corner and turned it over, and that went in. It might have gave us a wee bit going in at half time. But the second half, we cannot. It's the same old story. Cannot keep that back door shut and keep. For me, it's no great goals. That's not taking nothing away from St Mirren. They're self-inflicted. And every time you're saying that, everybody goes, "Oh, it must be." No, it's from the front as well. They've got that's your first line of defence. Getting tackles and pressing. And I felt the second half we were on the legs a wee bit. And then if you look at the goals, the goalkeeper will got them back and it comes out. Tully misses the first one. And then who's the next one out? You can't just let the guy go 20 yards and cross it in. And when he crosses it can't be a free header. So it's all that kind of fundamental stuff that we have to be better at. But we've been saying that all season. The thing about it, there's no point in talking about it and coaching it. You need to do it on the pitch. You just need to say, right, it's game time, I'm doing it on the pitch, I know what's coming. And it might be a wee bit of game knowledge, a wee bit of experience, the do's and the don'ts of football, or the craftiness, in terms of the first half. I felt we had that, but because it was experience, but then the legs start going a wee bit, and when you're putting the younger ones on, that craftiness, and knowing where to be. Knowing where to be, knowing where that anticipation of where the ball's falling, and then it's just these wee things that we're no great at, and that puts St Mirren on the front foot. I mean, they're on the front foot, you're under the cosh, and then we have to defend it better, simple as that. In terms of effort, commitment, never in question. Never ever in question. In terms of them being a right good, honest, hard-working bunch of boys, great. It's the first thing I do when I go into a football club. I separate the person from the footballer, and every one of them are great lads. Really, really smashing boys.
The first half didn't go according to plan. Our shape wasn't really working. against Ross County's 4-4-2, so we changed it midway through. Disappointed with the goal. You know, the guys just lack of concentration, I think, allowing Billy Mackay to go down the side, and then we don't deal with it after that. But you know, the character's never in question. I knew the players would keep going. You know, the message at half time, although I wasn't allowed in the dressing room, you know, the message from me to the staff was to encourage them and to believe they could get that next goal, because I did believe if we got the next goal, then that it would turn the tide in our favour, and it certainly did that. Yeah, it is. It's listen, after missing out on top six, we reassessed the situation and we set new targets, and seventh is where we want to go. It's going to be difficult because you've got good teams like United and Motherwell in there competing with us, but yeah, that's where we want to be. And you know, we've never finished seventh in the Premier League since it was formed, so it would be a really nice way to cap off the league campaign. Of course, we've got a huge game on Monday night, quarter-final of the Cup away to Kilmarnock, who have just come off the back of a fantastic result against United, so that should make for an entertaining and lively game as well. But you know, I think if you'd have offered me a point before the game tonight, considering the injury list that we had coming up here, I think it probably might have took it. But you know, the boys are brilliant. You know, I'm delighted for Jay Henderson getting his first start as well. Thought he'd done really, really well in flashes. We didn't have great options off the bench. You know, Dennis, we got as much out of Christian, I think, as we could have done. Delighted for Lee Irwin coming back here, getting through the full 90 minutes. The first time he's done that in a wee while, scoring a fantastic goal. The first goal was really good, actually. You know, Jack Anik, brilliant ball out. Tate's fantastic control, great delivery, and a really good finish. And Colin Quainer, you know, we've seen glimpses of the big man and what he's capable of being, and that's why we brought him to the club in January, and that's why we made that level of investment. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to keep him fit. But listen, if the big man stays fit between now and the end of the season, and he helps us win the Scottish Cup, then all will be forgiven.
That's all I've got time for on this review. Hope you have enjoyed. Do remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We'll have Scottish Cup stuff and another wee special video over the weekend as well, so do check that out as they come out. But until next time, subscribe to the channel.